Well, let's bring in Fidel Owosu. He's the Chief Executive Officer for DefSEC Analytics Africa. It's a security consultancy group. He joins us now from the Ghanaian capital, Accra. Fidel, we know that fighting is ongoing just over the Nile from Khartoum. How would you characterize the conflict now? It still feels very far from over.
Thank you very much for having me, Madam. When this conflict started in 2023, the Sudanese Armed Forces, the SAF, had overly used aerial superiority or air firepower to pummel the rebels in the city. The RSF, on the other hand, took cover in sensitive infrastructure like hospitals and other facilities like bridges and others in order to avoid or to escape from the firepower. In the process, the RSF took more territories than the SAF, and later the SAF had to relocate to Port Sudan, where the capital of the country was temporarily located. So in the beginning, the RSF fought an infantry war while the SAF fought aerial war. And in the process, many of these territories, or most of these territories, were in the hands of RSF. Currently, the SAF has adjusted its strategy by using infantry forces, and that is what we are currently seeing, where the SAF is able to drive the RSF out of the capital and symbolically taking the presidential palace and also engaging it ferociously in the central south city of El Obeid.
Well, Fidel, the Sudanese army side seems to have been very successful too at recruiting other ethnic militias to join them. Was that really the turning point then for Khartoum?
Yes, so initially, most of these forces, including the Shadow Battalion, an Islamic group, were abandoned under al-Bashir. But currently, when the SAF realized that the war is an infantry one, these militias have been recruited and they are at the forefront of this battle or this fight that is driving away the RSF. And currently, as we see, the RSF is more entrenched in the west. But in terms of the east, the SAF is currently having the wind in its sail because it's able to dislodge most of these fighters, RSF fighters, and currently the capital, Khartoum, is largely under its control, and that is very significant.
When we look at these shifting dynamics, I'm curious about the players here, because there are a number of foreign powers who are very invested on both sides, patrons of the RSF and of the SAF. Some people would say they're fueling this war, potentially even escalating it. How much are external actors here prolonging this conflict?
Yeah, so if we take them one at a time, if you mentioned Russia, Russia initially was more of a pro-RSF, but it changed its position. And Russia is interested in establishing a naval base in the Red Sea coast along the Sudanese shores. And so it's currently supporting the SAF, and its support to the SAF has been very instrumental. Again, China has renegotiated oil deal with the SAF, and by so doing, the SAF currently has more revenue from its oil revenue. And even the role of the United States by canceling or suspending aid to the country, it's sort of turned the tide against the RSF, because even areas where the RSF controlled, some of this aid were very instrumental in ensuring some kind of control there. And so by canceling this aid, the SAF currently has more control. Again, people talk about the UAE and its support for the RSF. Currently, it's in contention, and Sudan has raised objections to the UK inviting the UAE for a fundraising in London while the government did not get invited. So these are some of the dimensions in the external facet of the conflict.
Well, we've already seen, speaking of borders, fighting spill over with factions in Chad and in South Sudan. How badly could all of this destabilize the entire region?
Yes, so when this war started, the concerns were countries like Chad, volatile countries like Chad, South Sudan, Central African Republic, and even parts of Ethiopia shared border with Sudan. And so there was always the risk of spillover, and we have seen it. In fact, the countries in the region are caught up in the conflict. Even a country which is not an immediate neighbor to Sudan. Kenya is even being accused of supporting the RSF. So the spillover is very significant because the RSF has been known to recruit a lot of people from across the region, even as far as in Niger, they have recruited fighters to fight in Sudan. And so if this conflict is not well contained, it could become very inimical to the dynamics in the region and to the stability of other countries.
Fidel Wusu there from DefSEC Analytics Africa. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us on Al Jazeera, sir.
You are most welcome, madam.